So we were reading about this Aditya book. आज मैं थोड़ा आगे मुझे कुछ और इंस्पायरिंग चीज़ें जो समझ आई और जो लगी वो वहाँ शुरू करूँगी. बट आई हैव डन टिल जब वो शी स्टार्टेड टेलिंग कि आफ्टर हर जर्नी इन होलोकॉस्ट इन ऑस्ट्रिच, जब वो बाहर आई तो कैसे वो आगे बढ़ी और कैसे वो उन्होंने अपने ट्रॉमा पैटर्न्स को कैसे अपने ओवर परफॉर्मर और अ, बाकी चीज़ों में सप्रेस कर दिया था, जिसका रियलाइजेशन उन्हें बाद में हुआ. उसके बाद शी टोल्ड अस अबाउट कि उनका जो व्हाट इज वे ऑफ डूइंग वर्क, लाइक कि कोई लर्न हेल्पलेसनेस है या क्या चीज़ें वो कैसे काम करती हैं. उसके बाद आगे जो वो कह रही हैं वो ये है कि 3 quarters of century after liberation, I still have nightmares. I suffer flashbacks. Till the day I die, I will grieve the loss of my parents who never got to see 4 generations rise from the ashes of their dead. So ये अपने आप में it's a very beautiful and a very inspiring book. It's a very beautiful and very inspiring. ये बोलना कि obviously she has that grief in her. Grief जो होता है, see, grief has a lot more thing. Grief, एक psychological grief होता है, एक physical grief होता है, which the body stores. Like जो hurt है, जो we feel in our chest, वो तो एक physical grief है, जो कि when you cry वो release हो जाता है. But psychological grief could be like she had some some desires to spend more time with her parents, um, to get a partner in presence of her parents and to have kids while it was witnessing by their parents. She's giving upbringing, good upbringing and all these stuff. मतलब एक जो normal इंसान natural response था उनका trauma का. उसके बाद she says that there is no freedom in minimizing what happened or in trying to forget. ये बहुत ही important चीज़ है कि there is no freedom in trying in minimizing what happened और इन ट्राइंग टू फॉरगेट. ये बहुत ही एक इंटरेस्टिंग कोपिंग मैकेनिज्म है जो हम सब यूज करते हैं कि as to treat as if nothing has happened, but it's not there. There is no freedom in minimizing what happened or in trying to get forget. But remembering and honoring are very different from remaining stuck in guilt, shame, anger, resentment, or fear about the past. Exactly. Remember करना और किसी चीज को किसी इवेंट को रिमेम्बर करना और बहुत डिफरेंट है from remaining stuck in guilt, shame, anger, resentment, or fear about the past. I can face the reality of what happened and remember that although I have lost, I have never stopped choosing love and hope. It's a beautiful line. I I can face the reality of what happened. That although I have lost, I have never stopped choosing love and hope. It's a very, very interesting line by her and a very true line. See, एडिथ ईगर से मैं इतना इंस्पायर इसलिए हूँ. एडिथ ईगर की मैं वैल्यू इसलिए बहुत मुझे इंस्पायर करती है ये ऑथर, बिकॉज when she wrote this book, she was 90 plus when she wrote this book. In our culture, whenever a person crosses 90 or whenever a person crosses 50 in case or 40 in case, they start saying they have lived their life, it's already been too late. But if you go back, even getting a proper awareness in our prefrontal cortex develops till 25 or as per what science says, it's get fully developed. But I feel that it keeps on changing. I really believe in the concept of neuroplasticity because I have myself seen it. तो हमारी कल्चर में क्या होता है कि लोग जब कुछ अगर वो 50 60 70 किस होती हैं तो they behave as if they are not living, they are waiting for death. And that is more miserable. If you welcome death, and you start living as if your every second is precious. तो ये तो एक golden ही एक ये एक golden lesson है, golden moral है अगर आप ये कर पाते हैं. बट अगर आप नहीं कर पाते हैं और आप you're living as if you're just wasting days and ultimately you have to encounter that. So एक waste of life है. और इन्होंने बहुत सारे काम अपनी लाइफ की 50+ में किए. 50 years में उन्हें डॉक्टरेट मिली साइकोलॉजी में. कितने लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो शायद वो कभी सोचेंगे भी नहीं कि दे हैव टू गो बियॉन्ड दैट, बट शी थॉट ऑफ इट. और मैं भी, आई हैव सीन फ्यू पीपल इन माय लाइफ, लाइक माय पर्सनल थेरेपिस्ट. ही इज ऑल्सो somebody, he's of 61, I guess. He's of 61. And the way he lives his life, physically there are challenges which he encounters, और ये डिपेंड करता है कि अपनी बॉडी को भी कितने ऑप्टिमम लेवल पे यूज करते हैं. बट द वे ही यूज बट द वे he conducts his life, the way he lives his life, with the charm, with the energy. It's really so infectious that I also feel that I have an example in mind that yes, मुझे अपनी लाइफ को इस डायरेक्शन में देखना है. For me, the ability to choose, even in the midst of so much suffering and powerlessness, is the two great gifts that came out of my time in Auschwitz. For me, the ability to choose, even in the midst of so much suffering and powerlessness. And this is the power of freedom. You have a choice, you have a capacity to choose, even when you're feeling helpless, even when you are suffering, even if there is powerlessness. But she, with her limited, with her limited knowledge, with her limited capacity, with her limited experience of life at the age of 16, she decoded one of the best, or the essence of life which we humans have is the power to decode. Sorry, is the power to choose. We have this power to decode, मतलब हम मीनिंग derive करते हैं चीजों से, but to the power to choose, ये एक बहुत बड़ी पावर होती है. उसके बाद फिर आगे लिखती हैं, it may seem wrong to call anything that came out of the death camps a gift. It may seem wrong to call anything that came out of the death camp a gift. How could anything good come from hell? The constant fear that I'd be pulled out of the selection line or the barrack at any moment and thrown in the gas chamber. The dark smoke rising from the chimneys, a pervasive reminder of all I had lost and stood to lose. I had no control over the senseless, excruciating circumstances, but I could focus on what I held in my mind. I could respond, not react. Auschwitz provided the opportunity to discover my inner strength and my power of choice. I learned to rely on parts of myself I would otherwise never have known were there. We all have this capacity to choose. She says that obviously दिमाग में ये चीजें आती हैं कि एक इतनी डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन, डिफिकल्ट कहना भी बहुत ही अंडर एस्टिमेट करना होगा सिचुएशन को. हर पॉइंट पे, हर एंड पे, if one is being tested psychologically, physically, इमोशनली, क्योंकि पेरेंट्स की भी डेथ हो गई, फ्यूचर का भी पता नहीं है, तो उस टाइम पे ये कहना कि ये प्लेस मुझे कुछ गिफ्ट दे रही है, कुछ बेटर दे के जा रही है लाइफ में, वो बहुत ही इट लुक्स लाइक डिल्यूजनल. बट शी सेज कि मैंने अपने माइंड पे जो मैं चूज करती हूँ कि हाउ आई विल रिस्पॉन्ड टू अ सिचुएशन, ये चूज करना सीखा. कि मैं अपने पार्ट्स ऑफ माई सेल्फ पे रिलाई कर सकती हैं. अब मैंने ये क्या सीखा कि आई लर्न टू रिलाई ऑन पार्ट्स ऑफ माई सेल्फ I would otherwise never have known were there. We all have this capacity to call anything that came out of the death camps a gift. How could anything good come from the hell? The constant fear that I'd be pulled out of the selection box or the barrack at any moment and thrown in the gas chamber. The dark smoke rising from the chimneys. It may seem wrong to call anything. I'm reading this paragraph again क्योंकि मेरा ध्यान थोड़ा भटक गया था. It may seem wrong to call anything that came out of the death camps a gift. How could anything good come from hell? The constant fear that I'd be pulled out of the selection line or the barrack at any moment and thrown in the gas chamber, the dark smoke rising from the chimneys, a pervasive reminder of all I'd lost and stood to lose. I had no control over the senseless, excruciating circumstances. In circumstances, which she says they are senseless, excruciating circumstances. Senseless, excruciating circumstances means these circumstances are senseless. Senseless, excruciating circumstances. Senseless, excruciating circumstances means that these are, you cannot make sense of it. कि अचानक से if I have, अगर law भी किसी को punish करती है तो it punishes when you had committed a crime. But senses इसलिए क्योंकि for somebody, for killing somebody just because of their, based on their ethnicity, it doesn't make sense. Whatever reason you want to give, that it was a cleansing, you were trying to protect the gooder, the better race, whatever you want to say. But the 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 root of everything remains the same. The fact remains the same that it was very heinous. It was very uh, could not be under illogical. It was very, very one could say in terms, it was very, very evil. Evil would be an appropriate word. Excruciating circumstances, but I had no control over the senseless, excruciating circumstances. But I could focus on what I held in my mind. I could respond, not react. Auschwitz provided the opportunity to discover my inner strength and my power of choice. I learned to rely on parts of myself I would otherwise never have known were there. Exactly. So she says that it tested me to my extremes, but it also showed me few assets I have in me which I would have not known otherwise. We all have this capacity to choose. When nothing helpful or nourishing is coming from the outside, this that is precisely the moment when we have the possibility to discover who we really are. It's not what happens to us that matters most, it's what we do with our experiences. Yes. What we sometimes what happens that in life we do get a negative experience out of any situation uh, we were trying to do just for the sake of adventure or experience. But what happens after that? There are two types of responses. Yeah, so you choose that adventure again, or you just take the experience as the final experience and never try to get that adventure again. But you know what? I have seen in my solo trip. मेरा मुंबई का सोलो ट्रिप रहा, 2 बार का था. The first time I went to Mumbai, it was a very different experience. बड़ा शहर, इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा, it is a like a commercial capital of this country. कॉमर्शियल कैपिटल होने की वजह से और एक एस्पिरेशनल शहर जहाँ पे लोग अपने सपनों को लेकर आते हैं टू मूव इनटू द फिल्म इंडस्ट्रीज और इन द कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड टू ग्रो टू डू बिग इन लाइफ. ऐसा एक एस्पिरेशनल शहर है मुंबई. और मैं गई थी उस शहर में टू अंडरस्टैंड माई सेल्फ, टू गेट दैट फीलिंग ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस कि या आई कैन स्टे, आई कैन विजिट, आई कैन टूर ऑन माई ओन. लाइक इट वॉज आई कैन ट्रेवल ऑन माई ओन. जो मेरा पहला एक्सपीरियंस था, मैं अपने बर्थडे पे आई वेंट टू ताज, आई एट अलोन. सो जो मेरा पहला एक्सपीरियंस था वो इट वाज लाइक द सिटी वेलकम्ड मी एंड आई फेल्ट वेरी लिबरेटिंग इन दैट सिटी. जैसे कि इट्स अ वेरी आइडियल सिटी, मैं इंडिपेंडेंट हूँ यहाँ पे, uh, females are getting more independence, I could sense a kind of freedom in the city, especially for being a female in this country and coming from eastern part of Uttaranchal, Purvanchal. So मेरे लिए वो एक्सपीरियंस बहुत ही न्यू था, फ्रेश था और एम्पावरिंग था। बट सेकेंड टाइम मैं जब सोलो ट्रिप के लिए वापस मुंबई गई, क्योंकि मेरा पहला टाइम का एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा था, तो मैंने रियलाइज किया कि नो, दिस सिटी हैज इट्स कॉन्स ऑल्सो, इट्स कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज ऑल्सो, इट्स लिमिटेशंस ऑल्सो। या फिर ये सिटी बहुत लेयर्ड है। मैं जब पहली बार गई तो मैंने सिटी के टॉप को टच किया था, इसके डीप बीनीथ लेयर्स को मैं समझ नहीं पाई थी। मुझे समझ आया कि आप जब कहीं घूमने जाते हैं तो सिर्फ आप कैसे हैं और आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं, आपका टेस्ट कैसा है और आप किस एरिया में जा रहे हैं, सिर्फ ये दो फैक्टर्स नहीं होते हैं। आप किस टाइम जा रहे हैं, आप किस मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन को यूज कर रहे हैं, आप किस होटल में रुक रहे हैं, आप किस एरिया को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे, आप कैसे लोगों से मिल रहे हैं और इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हैं, आप क्या खा रहे हैं, और आप वर्किंग आवर्स में ट्रेवल कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे या फिर वहाँ पे छुट्टी का टाइम है, बहुत कुछ मैटर करता है आपके एक्सपीरियंस को प्रोवाइड करने में। मतलब वो आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा होगा, सिर्फ एक लेयर नहीं होती है कि मैं बहुत एडवेंचरस हूँ और शहर बहुत ओपन और एडवेंचरस है और मैं उसको एक्सपीरियंस कर रही हूँ, सिर्फ ये नहीं होता। तो मुझे समझ में आया, तो जब मेरा दूसरा एक्सपीरियंस था वो इतना नॉट सो गुड रहा। मतलब इट वाज ओके ओके, जो मेरे परसेप्शन थे मेरे पहले एक्सपीरियंस से वो थोड़े चेंज हुए। मतलब मुझे लगा कि नो, दिस सिटी हैज सम ड्रॉबैक्स टू, या फिर इट इज ऑल्सो लाइक इन सम एस्पेक्ट इट इज ऑल्सो लाइक द अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ दिस कंट्री। तो मैंने सोचा कि अब तो मैं कभी नहीं विजिट करूंगी, और जब रिक्वायर्ड हुआ तो ठीक है, लाइफ टेक्स मी देयर, इट्स ओके, बट अदरवाइज एक हेजिटेशन आ गई मेरे मन में। बट अब जब मैं उस चीज पे रिफ्लेक्ट करती हूँ तो मुझे समझ में आया कि नहीं, अगर मुझे मौका मिला तो मैं फिर जाऊंगी। और मैं आई वॉज बीइंग जजमेंटल, क्योंकि वो शहर में जब आप रहते हो, आप जब रहते हो तो आप कौन सी जॉब करते हो, आप किस एरिया में रहते हो, हर जगह इंसान की तरह एक हर एक जगह हर एक चीज लेयर्ड होती है। और आप कितना भी समझ लो इस मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड में, यू कैन नॉट से यू हैव अंडरस्टूड एवरीथिंग, बिकॉज नॉलेज एंड एक्सपीरियंसेस हैज इट्स लिमिटेशंस। बट वही बात, वो उसका ही एक एग्जांपल है जो मैंने अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ से निकाला। When we escape our mental prisons, we not only become free from what has held us back, but free to exercise our own free will. I first learned the difference between negative and positive freedom on Liberation Day at Ganskirchen in May 1945. I first learned the difference between negative and positive freedom. When I was 17, I was lying on the muddy ground in a pile of the dead and dying when the 71st Infantry arrived to free the camp. I remember the soldiers' eye full of shock bandanas tied over their faces to block out the stench of rotting flesh. In those first hours of freedom, I watched my fellow former prisoners, those who were capable of walking, leave through the prison gates. Moments later, they returned and sat listlessly on the damp grass or on the dirt floors of the barracks, unable to move forward. Viktor Frankl noted the same phenomena when Soviet forces liberated Auschwitz. We were no longer in prison, but many of us were not yet able, physically or mentally, to recognize our freedom. We were so eroded by disease, starvation, and trauma, we had no capacity to take responsibility for our lives. We could hardly remember how to be ourselves. We'd finally been released from the Nazis, but we were not yet free. I now recognize that the most damaging prison is in our mind and the key is in our pocket. No matter how great our suffering or how strong the bars, it's possible to break free from whatever is holding us back. It is not easy, but it is so worth it. In The Choice, I told the story of my journey from imprisonment to liberation and then on to true freedom. I have been astounded and humbled by the book's global reception and by all the readers who shared stories of how they have confronted their own pasts and worked to heal their pain. We were able to connect sometimes in person, sometimes through emails, social media, or video calls. And many of the stories I heard are included in this book. Names and other identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. As I wrote in The Choice, I don't want people to read my story and think, there is no way my suffering compares to hers. I want people to hear my story and think, if she can do it, so can I. Many have asked for a practical guide to the healing I have done in my own life, and with my patients in my clinical work, the gift is that book. In each chapter, I explore a common prison of the mind, illustrating its effects and challenges with stories from my life and clinical work, and closing with keys to free ourselves from that mental prison. Some of the keys are questions that could be used as journal prompts or in discussion with a trusted friend or therapist. Others are actionable steps you can take right now to improve your life and relationships. Though healing is not a linear process, I have organized the chapters in an intentional sequence that reflects the arc of my own journey toward freedom. That said, the chapters can also stand alone or be read in any order. You are the director of your own journey. I invite you to use the book in whatever way best serves you. And I offer three initial guideposts to start you on the path to freedom. We do not change until we are ready. Sometimes it's a tough circumstance, perhaps a divorce, accident, illness, or death, that forces us to face up to what isn't working and try something else. Sometimes our inner pain or unfulfilled longings get so loud and insistent that we can't ignore it another minute. But readiness does not come from the outside. It can't be rushed or forced. You're ready when you are ready, when something inside shifts and you decide. Until now, I did that. Now I'm going to do something else. Change is about interrupting the habits and patterns that no longer serve us. If you want to meaningfully alter your life, you don't simply abandon a dysfunctional habit or belief, you replace it with a healthy one. You choose what you are moving toward, you find an arrow and follow it. As you begin your journey, it's important to reflect not only on what you'd like to be free from, but on what you want to be free to do or become. Exactly. Finally, when you change your life, it isn't to become the new you. It's to become the real you, the one of a kind diamond that will never exist again and can never be replaced. Everything that has happened to you, all the choices you have made until now, all the ways you have tried to cope, it all matters. It's all useful. You don't have to throw everything out and start from scratch. Whatever you have done, it's brought you this far to this moment. The ultimate key to freedom is to keep becoming who you truly are. This is also a thing that we feel that authenticity, matlab being true to oneself. This is what authenticity is. तो फ्री होने का मतलब जो अल्टीमेट जो one want is not to be a better or in comparison to something on someone, but actually to be the real you because everyone is different. So this is it for this video, and I hope you like it. And if you like it, please leave the comments and please subscribe my channel so that it will help me to bring more channel subscribe my channel so that it will help me to bring more videos. Thank you so much.